First competitive match for Anguilla since the 2018 Women's World Cup qualifying cycle. So after 4 years, they get back out there. And in that World Cup qualifying cycle back in that 2018 year, they played Puerto Rico and they fell 10-0 in that one. Referees are set to get this one going with the coin toss. The captain, Adriana Connor for Anguilla, and Laura Suarez for Puerto Rico. Here now a look at the starting 11 for Anguilla. This team, again, relatively unknown. They have not played competitively for 4 years as they try and make some noise here in Concacaf W Championship qualifying. And they go up against the Puerto Rico side that is coming off of a very strong performance in their first victory, a 4-0 win over Antigua and Barbuda. This is the first match for Anguilla in group play. These teams will each play 4 matches in this round. The other 2 coming in the April window. Francia Gonzalez from Mexico is the one in charge of this game. A look now at the lineup for Puerto Rico. In goal, Cristina Roque, terrific talent. This past year, racked up as many accolades as you possibly can on route to the national championship with Florida State. And then up top, Karina Socaras, 20 goals in 23 appearances for Puerto Rico. And we'll look to get her the ball early and often in this one. Again, they won 4-0 in their first match. They're trying to keep pace in the goal difference column with Mexico. So when those 2 teams meet on the final match day, it can be very interesting where perhaps Puerto Rico can upset Mexico and go through even with a tie. They've got some ground to cover because, again, 9-0 Mexico won their match, 4-0 Puerto Rico won their match. So they can use all the goals they can get in this one.
Number 1, SO1. Defender, number 15, Weaver Stotts. Defender, number 22.
Cristina Torres on the bench for Puerto Rico in this one. She scored twice in that win against Antigua and Barbuda. That came 3 days ago. A home match for Puerto Rico. Karina Socaras also did score in that one. And Laura Suarez, the captain, got the 4th.
Midfielder number 9, Adriana Connor. Midfielder number 10, Sequoia Watley. Defender number 11, Briska Gums. Forward number 13, Roxanne Bradshaw. Midfielder number 14, Casey Ann Hall. And the head coach for Anguilla is Aquila. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today's starting lineup for Puerto Rico. Goalkeeper,
Match underway. Anguilla in the white from left to right. Puerto Rico in the blue from right to left. And a fast start from Puerto Rico with the high pressure. They win it. Zaragoza takes it on the left side. And they will calmly bring it all the way back then to Cristina Roque and get things going. Anguilla not ranked in Concacaf or in the FIFA rankings. Puerto Rico comes in 12th in Concacaf and 107th in the world. Puerto Rico in strong form right now. They've won each of their last 3 matches. 2 friendlies back in October, in which they played Guyana. Won those matches by a combined 8-1. And they won their last match 3 days ago. That was 4-0 against Antigua and Barbuda. Back a little bit further, and Puerto Rico struggled against Uruguay in a pair of friendlies last June. But this team playing a lot better of late. Hoping to try and crash the party here in the Concacaf W Championship. Everybody is looking at Mexico, a team that perhaps felt slighted with the way things shook out. US and Canada automatically qualifying for July. Mexico as the 3rd-ranked team in the region, having to go through this qualification process. They came out looking pretty angry with a 9-0 win to get things going. And Puerto Rico, the most likely team to potentially go ahead and upset Mexico from this Group A. But it is still a tall ask. To make the groups for this tournament, You had 6 pre-seeded teams, Mexico being the highest ranked out of all of them. And then from there, the teams were split into 4 separate pots based on their FIFA rankings. Puerto Rico was placed into pot 1, and they had the most difficult draw of all the pot 1 teams, drawing Mexico. Mexico, the first of those 6 seeded teams, ranked 28th in the world. Trinidad and Tobago, the last of those 6 teams, ranked 70th in the world. So you can see the disparity there and the luck of the draw, as it has been known to say. Puerto Rico, had they have gotten Trinidad only a couple ranking spots behind there, but large gap between Mexico and Puerto Rico. Pressure here from Mercedes Bauza. Joining Mexico, Puerto Rico, Anguilla, and Antigua and Barbuda in this group is Suriname. Zaragoza takes it for Puerto Rico. Nicolette Dries out to the right side. Here's Kelly Johnson. A lot of collegiate talent for Puerto Rico. Good through ball into space. Chance here for Puerto Rico, and that shot trickles just into the hands of Esther Ward. And a late whistle goes against Puerto Rico as well. Adriana Tirado attempted to get that shot off. It was a fast start for Puerto Rico in that first match against Antigua and Barbuda. 3 first-half goals. They scored another one early in the second. Zaragoza plays wide. Now Bauza out for a throw deep in the corner. Mercedes Bauza, 41 goals in 63 collegiate appearances at Greensboro College. Now Zaragoza gets it back in with the throw. Good step in the middle. That's Tiandra Carter trying to lead the break for Anguilla. All nations in this tournament hopeful to make a run and try and qualify for the 2023 World Cup and the 2024 Olympics. That is what this tournament will serve as. The Concacaf W Championship will be played in July. 8 teams involved. The 6 group winners from this qualification process will join the US and Canada. From there, they'll be split into 2 groups of 4 as this foul is called against Puerto Rico. Once they're split into 2 groups of 4 in July, the top 2 teams in each group make it to the semifinal. And all 4 of those semifinalists will qualify for the World Cup. 3rd place teams in each of those groups will enter the FIFA Inter-Confederation playoffs. So potentially 6 CONCACAF teams can make it to the World Cup, but just those 4 automatic qualifiers. Whoever goes on to win the CONCACAF W Championship in July will automatically also qualify for the 2024 Olympics in France and the 2024 CONCACAF W Gold Cup, the first ever edition of that tournament. Now runners-up and 3rd place finishers of this CONCACAF W Championship will play each other in a playoff in September of 2023 with a chance to qualify for the Olympics and the Gold Cup on the line as well. Long way to go for each of these nations to get there. First corner kick of the match belongs to Puerto Rico. Well taken, lofted, top of the 6, headed on and in. Terrific delivery from the corner. Esther Ward in goal, unsure of whether to come out or not. And Puerto Rico gets on top early. Teammates celebrating around Kelly Johnson, the 29-year-old who plays professionally in Puerto Rico, gets them on the scoreboard. was part of the Olympic qualifying for Puerto Rico in the 2016 cycle. Go all the way back to her college days at East Carolina in 2013 and 2014. Multiple-time all-conference honoree, and now the first goal today. And a chance now to get some more for Puerto Rico on a free kick just outside the box. Karina Socaras standing over the free kick. This is the perfect spot for a free kick on goal. Far enough to get it up and over the wall, but down back onto the crossbar. Puerto Rico crowding the goalkeeper on this one. Interesting of Anguilla to allow them to do that. They could step up here, make all those players offside, but instead allowing them to crowd the goalkeeper. The free kick from Socaras on the ground, ricochets a couple of times and finally cleared. Anguilla. Just don't see that too often for a team defending the free kick. They wanted to get defenders on both posts to help out the goalkeeper, Esther Ward. But in doing that, allowing Puerto Rico to get all the way up against the goal line without having an offside called against them. So far, just one shot between these two teams. It was Kelly Johnson's goal. Elsewhere today, Dominican Republic, a 4-0 win over the Cayman Islands. Cuba is up 4-0 in the first half of their match. We're just a few minutes into Curacao, Guatemala as well. Aruba takes on El Salvador a bit later. Guyana in action tonight as well. They're facing Turks and Caicos. And then we begin again at 3 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday afternoon, with Haiti taking on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Had an off day in this tournament yesterday. No teams in action on Monday either, but plenty of action today on Sunday and then again on Tuesday. Before these teams will pack it up for a few months and come back for the April window of this tournament. 10 minutes gone here in this one. Puerto Rico on top, 1-0 on the goal scored by Kelly Johnson. Joe Malfa here with you this afternoon for this action. Group A play, the first match day for Anguilla, the second match for Puerto Rico. A 4-0 win to get things going for the Puerto Rican side against Antigua and Barbuda. Anguilla has not played a competitive match since the 2018 qualifying cycle. And in that cycle, they faced Puerto Rico. It was a 10-0 win for Puerto Rico, hoping to replicate that success today. The 12th ranked team in Concacaf, 107th in the world. A team on the rise with some of the collegiate talent they've been able to bring in. On the door of some of the teams ranked ahead of them. Cuba, Guyana, Guatemala, the three teams that were ranked ahead of them in pot 1 of this tournament's draw. There's the clear-cut top 2 of the United States and Canada in CONCACAF. Great ball in the middle here, and that strike just over the crossbar, out for a goal kick. And Elias Vasquez on the end of it, rather. Socaras again, every time it's been sent her way, there's been an opportunity. Good first touch. Took her into some space. Put the laces through it and just blasted it over. After the US and Canada, seems like Mexico is establishing itself as the true number 3 in the region. Costa Rica not too far behind. And then that's when things get interesting. On any given day, that next cut of teams, Jamaica, Panama, Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, Puerto Rico, Cuba, all those teams can beat each other on any given day. A tournament like this can help establish the pecking order in Concacaf. We see how things maybe shake up after those top few teams as the sport grows and grows in this region. Zaragoza with the step, wins it back for Puerto Rico. Here's Socaras, shoved off the ball. Anguilla wins it back. Only briefly, now it's with Dries. DeAndre Carter, second time that he has won the ball with a good physical, clean play near midfield, but nobody able to get on the end of it once again. Very young starting lineup for Anguilla. 4 teenagers in all. And outside of that, everybody else pretty much falling in between that 21 and 23 years of age category. Esther Ward, the goalkeeper, the most senior player at 29. Nice turn by Socaras into space. Chance here, streaker in the middle. Calls her own number and puts it over the goal frame. Delis Vasquez looks skyward after that. Had Socaras seen her run, that would have been a tap-in for the Puerto Rican striker. Here's another look at it. There is Vasquez right there at the doorstep. You can see her reaction. Socaras seemed to know it right away afterwards as well. Ann Hawley over to Carter, given away again. Here's Puerto Rico, nearly a quarter an hour in, 1 goal so far to their tally. Would have been more. Tirado plays it in for Socaras. Good ball in the middle. Out to the top of the box. Nicolette Dries lays it off. Now back around for Laura Suarez. Hit it, looking out wide for Kelly Johnson, but it still got there. Ball over the top from Dries. Taken down by Socaras. Shouts of handball from Puerto Rico. Go answered. They'll have a free kick here. About 10 yards outside of the area. Laura Suarez stands over. It looks as if she will send this goalward. And again, defenders on the post here for Anguilla. So it allows Puerto Rico to creep all the way into the area of Esther Ward. Nobody's setting up as an option for a cross, so this will be a strike on target, but there are a lot of bodies in the way. It'll be Nicolette Dries. Drives it. Doesn't get past one of those defenders in the box. Dries again. Another strike. And that one goes wide. Good pressure from Puerto Rico to win it right back off the goal kick. Johnson wins it back and loses it again. She does have the goal for Puerto Rico. Now working back on defense, Kelly Johnson. Well done to win it by Vasquez. Socaras touches it by the defender. Karina Socaras floats it toward the back post and over everybody. Whistle on the play goes against Puerto Rico. I believe they got Zaragoza for a little nudge in the back as she was jockeying for position there in the box. Guatemala just went up 1-0 on Curacao. First match for Curacao in this tournament. Guatemala right now sitting atop the Group B standings. They won their first match 9-0. That came over the U.S. Virgin Islands. Costa Rica, the believed favorite in that group, won their first match 7-0. So Guatemala did end the first match day above that group's seeded team in Costa Rica. The Costa Rican team ranked 36th in the world. Guatemala was the highest seeded Pot 1 team, ranked 80th in the world. So a difficult draw for Costa Rica. Those two teams will eventually meet on the final match day, April 12th. So in a few of these groups, saving the best for last. Puerto Rico, perceived as the biggest threat to Mexico, will face Mexico on the final match day. Same goes in Group B with Guatemala and Costa Rica. Cuba has extended its first half lead over the British Virgin Islands to 6-0. As Cuba is just showcasing its talents right now as the top seeded Pot 1 team in their group. Haiti, the seeded team in that group. Cuba won 3-0 in their first match. Haiti 6-0. Good chance for Cuba today to pad the goal differential as they set up for a showdown against Haiti down the line. Contact in the box, play on, says the referee. Not much for Francia Gonzalez to do in this one so far. Clean play from both teams. And as I say that, of course, there's the foul against Puerto Rico. Delis Vasquez hobbling back into the play. 21-year-old from FIU in her senior season at Florida International University after spending 2 years at VCU.
Come on, let's go!
Haven't heard anything from the goalkeeper, Cristina Roque, yet. Puerto Rico would like to keep it that way, as all the action has been in the attacking half, but if it does come this way, Roque is up to the challenge. Could not have had a better first couple of seasons at Florida State. Ended up playing 33 combined games between those 2 years. 19 of those games were clean sheets. Only 18 total goals allowed, so she had more clean sheets than goals allowed in her first 2 years at Florida State, and a collective goals against average of below 0.5. Picked up a lot of accolades along the way as well. Yellow card issued to Yanisha Carty here for that foul. We'll set up Puerto Rico with another free kick just outside the box. Francia Gonzalez went right to the pocket there. Very solid collision. Very unconventional from Anguilla to bring players back to defend on the post on free kicks like this. It allows Puerto Rico all the way in, but at the same token, does create a lot of traffic for Laura Suarez to try and put this ball through. Unless she puts it about 6 feet high into one of the top corners. There's not much of a lane through to the goal here. Might be in Puerto Rico's best interest to try a quick, incisive pass into the box. Plays it along to the side, and the header is just wide. Might have skimmed off the head of an Anguilla defender. Out for a corner kick. Nicolette Dries will take, plays it short, and gets it back. Creates a better angle, drives it in, and will able to clear. Zaragoza, good first touch. Trying to keep the attack alive. Laura Suarez, through ball, and just mishit in the end. No deflection, goal kick. Puerto Rico was expecting a corner, but not to be the case, and an early sub here. Looks like Mercedes Bauza was hobbling toward the sideline.
Substitution in the 23rd minute, number 16, Cristina Torres.
And it will be Cristina Torres entering the match. Torres scored a pair in the 4-0 victory to open up Group A play for Puerto Rico. On the wing for Johnson, long run to keep it in. Deflects back in toward Esther Ward, who corrals it. Cristina Torres has 4 goals in 5 appearances for Puerto Rico coming into this tournament. Make it 6 in 6. He's professionally in Puerto Rico. Was just recently loaned to Detroit City FC for the next few months. Torres on the ground. Here's Johnson. And that is deflected out for a corner kick. One of 3 games in action right now. 1-0 here. Guatemala up 1-0 on Curacao. And Cuba up 6-0 on the British Virgin Islands. Corner, a bit too low on the way in, blocked initially. Chance at a second ball here for Dries. And it's a good second ball, dangerous one that bounces. Esther Ward taken down, and the foul called against Puerto Rico. Offside flag was up as well, so take your pick on what the official call is. Either way, Anguilla with the kick coming out. Anguilla yet to get any sustained pressure in the attacking half. Having trouble breaking down Puerto Rico's pressure. And again, forcing the turnover at Puerto Rico. High lofted ball into the box, bounces to the backside. Torres just into the game. Nice move made by Pardo. Save is made by Ward. Big rebound. Nobody there. Pardo just saw Lane, took the shot herself. Playing still collegiately at UNC Charlotte. Debuted last February for Puerto Rico in a match against Dominican Republic. And she helped Puerto Rico to the round of 16 in the 2020 U20 Concacaf Championships. The 2022 edition of that tournament coming up in just a couple of weeks. Vasquez down the wing for Johnson. The lone goal in this match still scored by Johnson. Good ball sent in. Just a heavy first touch by Socaras. Puerto Rico has entered a bit of a lull offensively the last 10 minutes or so. They still are maintaining control of the game and the possession, but have not gotten into those advanced spaces on the field in the box that they were getting into early on. Chance here just outside the area for a strike. Dipping, bouncing save made by Ward. Rebound there. And Ward pounces on it. A bit of pain as well. Shot came in from Adriana Tirado. Playing professionally now in India. Esther Ward, the most experienced member of this lineup, 29 years of age for Anguilla. Part of the team in the last qualifying cycle they were a part of back in 2018. And that is the last time they competed as a nation 4 years ago. During that 2018 World Cup qualifying cycle for the 2019 World Cup. Anguilla lost their 4 matches in 2018 by a combined 19-1, including a 10-0 loss to this Puerto Rican side. So fast forward a few years, and they are faring much better against Puerto Rico. Just 1-0, a half an hour into it. And really frustrating this Puerto Rican attack. Will be a drop ball into the hands of Esther Ward. She had the ball when play was stopped. And now back to the action. Good to see she's all right and fit to continue. Ball over the top. Ward again just slaps it away from Tirado. Seven shots to 0 in favor of Puerto Rico. Only 3 of those on goal. Hardy with the header away. Now Hawley knocks it directly up into the air. Adriana Connor, the captain, brought it down, but right to Puerto Rico again. Opened up to Zaragoza. Nice move past the first defender, but Zaragoza couldn't get past the second. That's Sequoia Watley stepping in to win it. Got a long out for a throw-in by Roxanne Bradshaw. A dozen minutes to go in this first half. Looking more and more like Puerto Rico on the final match day will have to go on and beat Mexico. The two clear-cut top teams in this group. The hope was maybe there for Puerto Rico through the first 3 matches to best Mexico's goal difference. So this way on the final day, all they would need to do is salvage a draw to find their way through. And as it stands, their goal difference +5. Mexico in one game has it at +9. Ample opportunity still in this one to try and increase that. But Anguilla not making anything easy for Puerto Rico. They just slipped that one terrific ball through that was headed home by Kelly Johnson, who now throws it in. That goal for Kelly Johnson came all the way back in the 7th minute. Keep in mind, we did already have one substitute for Puerto Rico. Mercedes Bauza was injured, could not continue. Cristina Torres then entered the match. And Torres scored a pair the other night when Puerto Rico won their first match against Antigua and Barbuda. Down the right flank. Chance brewing again, Socaras. Her ball in is deflected. Still loose in front. Torres couldn't get anything on that one. Just skimmed off her left foot. Esther Ward collapses on top of it again. What might Nat Gonzalez tweak for Puerto Rico at the break? Try and find more ways through. Christina Roque has just been a spectator at the back for Puerto Rico. That's a good sign. They haven't given up anything. Need to do a better job of converting offensively again with that very important goal differential. Might be a tall mountain to climb now. They are +5 through nearly 1.5 matches. Mexico finished its first match +9 in that department. Two teams will meet on the final match day with a spot in July's tournament on the line in all likelihood. Ward reads it well and dives on top of it again. And Puerto Rico will have to travel to Mexico to play that match. Run in from Socaras on the right foot. Karina Socaras makes it 2-0 Puerto Rico. They've been struggling to find a way through, and finally they are able to get the second. The 28-year-old plays professionally in Portugal. She split her pro career between Spain, Puerto Rico, and now Portugal. And most of her success has come for her national team here with Puerto Rico. She now has 22 goals in 25 appearances for Puerto Rico. And that a positive sign for them now as we get closer to half. I keep harping on that race of goal differential. That is paramount for this team. You don't want to have to go into that final match against Mexico needing a win to get through to July's match. Terrific volley there, just goes wide off the foot of Nicolette Dries. If Puerto Rico can manage a way to beat Mexico in the goal differential department, you go to Mexico, all you need is a draw to get into July's portion of this tournament. That has to be the mindset of this Puerto Rican team. Late whistle here goes against Puerto Rico. Melina Pardo carries about 30 yards herself. Sun continuing to set in Anguilla. Into the evening now as Puerto Rico carries a 2-0 lead and make it 3. Unlucky there on the own goal. Referee comes in to blow the whistle for a moment, but the goal will stand. Dangerous cross sent in, and it comes off the right knee of Yanisha Cardi. Puerto Rico have to continue this. This brings their goal difference to +7, Puerto Rico. Mexico right now sitting at +9, but numbers sure to grow. Chance for more. Dries puts the ball through to Torres, but puts it right at Esther Ward. First time there that Anguilla got some numbers forward into the attacking half, but they're forced immediately back. Now set long up toward Roxanne Bradshaw. And all the way back now to Christina Roque. Started talking about her a bit earlier, some of the accolades she picked up in her first 2 collegiate seasons. Freshman All-American, second team All-American, second team All-ACC, ACC All-Freshman team, College Cup All-Tournament team, College Cup Most Outstanding Defensive Player, and most importantly, a national champion with Florida State this past season. Long ball in behind the Torres. Her feet taken out from under her, but play on, says the official. It was a closer call than he initially thought. Nicolette Dries, drifting ball, and finds the side netting. 4 for Puerto Rico. Should it have been a penalty? A heartbeat prior? Maybe. Doesn't matter. Puerto Rico gets the goal just seconds later. Well struck, maybe off the fingertips ever so slightly of Esther Ward. After a very slow start to the half, Puerto Rico pours a few in the closing moments. Socares in the 37th, an own goal in the 39th. And now that strike from Dries in the 42nd minute. Torres unable to get by. Guatemala has gone up 2-0 on Curacao. Elsewhere in Concacaf W Championship qualifier action right now. And Cuba is into the second half with a 6-0 lead on the British Virgin Islands. Aruba, El Salvador has recently kicked off. A quarter hour in, still scoreless. Dries again off the fingertips and crossbar. Rebound is put wide. Esther Ward did just enough to touch that one onto the crossbar. Here's a closer look at it. With the confidence from a few moments ago, Dries strikes it again. And Ward, a slight touch to get it onto the crossbar. Otherwise, that was dipping in. Nice give and go for Puerto Rico. Zaragoza to Torres. Torres turning the corner. Did that take a touch for a corner kick? It did not. "13 shots now for Puerto Rico. Half of those have come in just the last 10 minutes. Zaragoza in the corner again for Torres. She has created a few opportunities down that left flank since coming in for the injured Mercedes Bauza. This one out for a strike by Tirado, and it's just wide. Into stoppage time now. There won't be any. The halftime whistle blown immediately by Francia Gonzalez. A 4-0 lead for Puerto Rico. In total control right now, but needing more to keep pace with Mexico and make things interesting going into the final match day once the April window comes around. Do not expect Puerto Rico to let up in this one. The more the better in their campaign to qualify for July's Concacaf W Championship, as we are on match day 2 of qualifiers here in Group A. Back in a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, the halftime score. Puerto Rico is up 4-0.
Look at highlights from half number one between Anguilla and Puerto Rico. A half dominated by the Puerto Rican visitors. Early on, they found some avenues through into the box. Couldn't convert their opportunities though. They finished the half with 16 shots. Only 5 of those came in the first half hour. One of those being this goal right here on a terrific delivery from the corner. Kelly Johnson rises to knot it past the goalkeeper, Esther Ward, as she collides with the goalkeeper. Put Puerto Rico up 1-0 in the 7th minute. After that, things got very difficult. Anguilla sat in very tight, compact. Puerto Rico struggled to find those same lanes through that they were finding in the first 5 to 7 minutes. It went a long gap between goals in this one. Kelly Johnson in the 7th, and then it would be in the 37th, Karina Socaras. She wouldn't have trouble with the goal she ultimately scored, but in the early stages of this game, anytime she had the ball in and around the box, Anguilla was there to make life difficult. Esther Ward a few times ended up on the ground in the first half with some collisions as balls were sent in. That contact there was made with Nicolette Dries, who we hear from in a bit, with a goal of her own. And this rebound, Ward able to cleanly get to it as well. Would be down injured for a couple of moments, but able to continue after that stop. "16 shots in this one for Puerto Rico, 8 of those on target, and 2 finding the back of the net here. Socaras again on the right foot is able to make it 2-0. 30 minutes between the first 2 goals. Only 2 minutes between the second and third goal. It was an own goal off the knee of Yanisha Cardi. And then just 3 minutes after that, Nicolette Dries would find some space outside the box and hit a well-struck shot that drifted into the side netting just beyond the fingertips of Esther Ward. 4-0 Puerto Rico. It's the same scoreline they won by on match day 1 against Antigua and Barbuda, but they're hoping for more here on match day 2. Look so far at the stats: 16 shots to none, 5 on goal. Possession 60-40, heavily in favor of Puerto Rico. All that adding up to the big lopsided scoreline we have at the moment for this Puerto Rican side. But they would like some more as they chase Mexico in the goal difference here in Group A. We'll see what they can do in the last 45. teams out there for half number 2. Puerto Rico will begin with the ball in the blue from left to right. Anguilla from right to left in the white, trailing 4-0 in a game where Puerto Rico would like to pad that goal difference as much as they possibly can. Glancing over at the sideline, looks like there is a sub we're waiting on from Anguilla, at least one. A couple seem to be getting ready now. Roxanne Bradshaw will exit the match. Tiana Vanterpool entering.
Entering number 13.
And in goal, we have a change on the Puerto Rico side in goal. Cristina Roque is exiting. J.Lo Verado Vasquez is entering. One more change on the way. Daphne Mendez set to check in for Puerto Rico. And the board is not operating, so the referee just waves her on. Jasmine Mendez also checks in for Puerto Rico. Underway in the second half. Puerto Rico at this present moment, a +8 goal difference. Mexico's at the top of the group at +9 in that category. And that is just through one match so far for Mexico. I'm Alpha with you this evening. Action taking place in Anguilla. Started in the daylight, now nightfall upon us. So Caras, one goal already tonight for Puerto Rico. Cutting in, Jasmine Mendez up to Daphne Mendez. Into the box, Daphne Mendez on the right foot, still weaving through, and it's out for a corner kick. First bit of action there for Mendez since entering the match. A good positive start. She creates an opportunity. Plays collegiately at UC Riverside. And now out for a Anguilla throw. Daphne Mendez just entering her sophomore year at UC Riverside, now up and down that right flank. J.Lo Verado Vasquez in goal for Puerto Rico, subbing in for Cristina Roque. She is in attendance now at University of Florida. I mentioned early in the first half, a lot of collegiate talent on this Puerto Rican side. Very young team, growing together, very talented team on the come up in Concacaf. They've rattled off a few straight victories now in various competitions, whether friendlies or this tournament. This could be their 5th consecutive win in all competitions. Threaded through here. Ellis Vasquez unable to do anything with it in the end.
Entering the game number 13, exiting the game number 2. Substitution entering the game number 6 and exiting the game number 21.
Down the left side, Puerto Rico in the box again, cut toward Socaras, but it'll be a corner. Angela Diaz-Vasquez, one of the players who checked out in this one for Puerto Rico, as Jasmine Mendez and Daphne Mendez both checked in. And Laura Suarez, a player who checked out for Puerto Rico. Good delivery from the corner, save made by Esther Ward on the header from Cristina Torres. Secondary ball in, fumbled by Ward. Socaras fighting for it. Look there, that initial header in. Powerful header by Cristina Torres, who scored twice in their previous matchup against Antigua and Barbuda. Jasmine Mendez, now Daphne Mendez. Numbers in the box for Puerto Rico, floated toward the back post. Collision there, ball bouncing around, and the backspin keeps it out. Dangerous delivery from Mendez as it continues to drift toward the goal. Left alone in the middle for Vasquez. Turning and firing, but wide. There's Adriana Tirado. Up to 18 shots for Puerto Rico. Cuba up 10-0 now in their match against the British Virgin Islands. That is the high mark of the tournament so far. First team to get to double digits. Guatemala up 3-0 on Curacao at the moment. And approaching halftime, scoreless between Aruba and El Salvador. That Aruba-El Salvador match taking place in Group D. Right now, El Salvador and Panama are tied with 3 points atop the table. And Aruba is playing its first match. Here's a chance from distance, dipping, and just still wide and high from Diaz-Vasquez. If Aruba can muster the victory against El Salvador, again, Aruba is home, nearing halftime, still scoreless. Group D becomes very interesting. You'd have 3 teams tied on 3 points. For the time being, Panama still yet to play its second match. That comes tomorrow against Belize. Panama, the seeded team in that group, only in second place entering this match day because of goal difference, where El Salvador has a 1-goal advantage. But here in Group A, Puerto Rico chasing Mexico. Puerto Rico on its way to picking up 3 more points in this one. But their cumulative goal difference right now is +8. Mexico is +9 through just 1 match. Off toward the near post, still loose in front. Willa clears. For the time being, Mendez. Over the top for Daphne Mendez. final match of this window for Puerto Rico. Each team in this qualifying portion, all 30 teams, will play 2 matches in February and 2 in April. After this, a couple of months for Puerto Rico to prepare for the next challenge, which includes Suriname on April 9th and Mexico on April the 12th. If the goal difference continues to go the way it appears to be going, Puerto Rico would have to go into Mexico and upset that squad in order to advance to July's final 8 of this tournament. Turn in space by Adrienne. She's already scored from distance once tonight. Instead lays it off to Socaras, who also has a goal. Back to the top of the box, in front of the post. Sliding on the backside of that was Cristina Torres. Certainly appeared to be a shot from the top of the box by Yedelis Vasquez. But as that shot drifted from the goal frame, there to steer it back on frame, off the post, was Torres. Cleared across the box. Anguilla, you never want to do that. Now Tirado plays it out wide for Jasmine Mendez. Mendez tumbles down, and a late foul call is made by the assistant referee in the area of the corner flag. Just a slightly better angled corner kick essentially coming up for Puerto Rico. Elena Pardo will take the kick. Flex on the goal frame, still loose in front. Torres pokes it through. He touches the top of the box, gives it back to Puerto Rico as Laura Suarez comes away with it, and they regather. Physical play down to the corner. Well done. Rima Stott to clear that one out for a throw-in. Top of the box for a volley. Ward fumbles it, and now it's put home. Could not secure the initial shot, and now Ward bumps into Puerto Rican player Socaras. Did not take too kindly to Socaras going into the goal to grab that ball. You can see what this means to Puerto Rico. They're up 5-0, but they want to get the play going right away. The goal difference that important in this one. Take another look at this one as it ricocheted initially down to the feet of Socaras, who got her second goal of the night. Now on goal difference, Puerto Rico level with Mexico. But again, that is through 2 games, almost 2 full games for Puerto Rico, and just 1 for the Mexican side. Fighting for it, Mendez. Spin on that ball, almost kept it in, but now it's out for a corner. Driven ball into the near post. And they'll do it again. In swinger, center of the box. Header is wide, just narrowly. Carolina Pardo.
If that one was on target, yeah, just go. You were going clean through. That was a hell of a header. Just that was on target. But it was one hell of a header.
All Puerto Rico again in the second half, and that one deflects out for a goal kick. As we tick up toward the hour mark, 5-0. The visitors lead it. Taken away off the goal kick. Nice turn by Anisha Matthew.
If you get a red card, you miss the next game. Huh? She get injured?
And the flag goes up for offside on Puerto Rico as the clock reads 60 minutes. 5 goals in this one from Puerto Rico. Kelly Johnson back in the 7th. Karina Socares in the 37th and 57th. Yanisha Cardi, an own goal for Anguilla. Unintentional deflection on a very dangerous cross that was whipped in. And then Nicolette Dries in the 42nd minute. Here's another chance to get number 6 for Puerto Rico. And it just drifts out. It'll be a corner kick. These corners have been very dangerous here in the second half for Puerto Rico. Two changes on the way for Anguilla. You can see the electronic board not working, so we do it the old-fashioned way. The assistant referee holding up the piece of the paper. Chiquita Bryant, Larnica Rogers, the two players entering.
Substitution for Raymond, exiting the game number 14, entering the game number 4.
Subs are sorted out. Puerto Rico ready to take this corner. They want play to continue quickly. It's a battle not against Anguilla in this one, but a battle against Mexico's goal difference. Taken short. That didn't work out too well for Puerto Rico. Closing on that one was the newly inserted Chiquita Bryant. Here's Melina Pardo. Gets it through. Laura Suarez. Now in the corner for Torres. Out for another corner kick. Well struck corner kick for the backside of the 6, and the header is in to Terrific all around on that corner kick from Puerto Rico, and it is 6-0. It's a hat trick for Socaras, who continues to light up the scoreboard when she puts on her nation's uniform. She now has 24 goals in 25 appearances for Puerto Rico. Terrific track record for the 28-year-old. Pro career that has seen her bounce between Spain, Puerto Rico, and now Portugal. The one mainstay, she scores when she plays for her country. Again, 24 goals in 25 games in a Puerto Rican uniform for Karina Socaras. This puts them ahead of Mexico on goal difference, but only by one. Socaras again to the end line. Lofted into the box. Ward struggles with it. Still loose. That came off of a defender. Shouldn't be offside. And that was a clearance attempt from Anguilla, so no offside. And it yields another corner for Puerto Rico. An inch-perfect corner last time around on the delivery and the header. See if they can do it again for a 7th goal. Driven ball in again. That one almost might have had a chance to go in at the front post. Esther Ward camped deep in the goal. Fortunate Anguilla to have that player on the near post. Short from Torres. Pardo on the ground near the penalty spot. Makes a deflection and stays out.
Goal for Puerto Rico in the 64th minute, number 9.
Room to roam for Tirado, who lines one up. Bounces underneath Ward. Able to get on top of it.
The score right now is Puerto Rico 6, Anguilla.
Nice move in the middle by the Anguilla captain. Adriana Connor still with it. The pass pack is intercepted. Using a shin guard on that run was Zaragoza. Still with it, taken down very hard. But cleanly, as the referee, that call was made. Just a corner kick on the way for Puerto Rico. Here's another look at that. A lot of contact there in the area as well. Corner, all the way to the back post and through. In the 70th minute, Puerto Rico with an overall goal difference now of +10. It would be just one ahead of Mexico. The top team in each of the 6 groups will qualify for July's final 8 of the 2022 Concacaf W Championship. That's where you want to be. That's where you still have a chance then to qualify for the 2023 World Cup in New Zealand and Australia, as well as the 2024 Olympics in Paris. US and Canada already through to July's portion. Mexico, one of the next best favorites after those clear-cut top 2 in the US and Canada. They sit in Group A with Puerto Rico. They won their first match 9-0 against Suriname. Puerto Rico, the highest seeded Pot 1 team to be drawn into Mexico's group. It appears as if it will come down to those 2 teams on the final match day, April 12th, to determine who goes through to July's portion of this tournament. Mexico would be the clear favorites in that match, and they'd be home as well. So if you're Puerto Rico, best avenue you'd think to get through to July is try and build your goal difference to a point that would force Mexico to beat you on that last day. Go into that needing only a draw and hope for the best. But at this pace, it seems like Puerto Rico would have to go into Mexico and get a win. Just 1 goal better than Mexico right now. Mexico has played 1 fewer match. Mendez to Mendez. Jasmine to Daphne. In the middle, a chance here for Socaras to get a 4th. 7-0 Puerto Rico. And now 11-9 over Mexico. Every goal helps. That gives Socaras now 25 goals in 25 games for Puerto Rico. Our 4th of this match. They go again right off the kickoff after winning possession immediately.
Puerto Rico number 9 in the 71st minute.
Here's Tirado. Socaras lays it off. Here's Tirado with some space to work outside the box. Out for Mendez. Now Daphne Mendez. Here's Jasmine Mendez. Numbers in the area. Jasmine Mendez into some space in the box to the end line now, trying to float across through. And it's blocked. Fights through to try to win it back, but call for the foul. Socaras over to check on the player down. Slowly to her feet. Give a stop. For Jasmine Mendez. Lofted ball in toward the penalty mark, taken down in the middle now. Put across, but between both players. The net stood open, but the ball split the difference between Socaras and Torres. Now here's Torres taken down. And the penalty is called. A chance for Puerto Rico to get an 8th. Another look at that foul in the middle by Carty, who's also on a yellow card at the moment. Suarez, the captain, from the penalty mark to make it 8 for Puerto Rico with a quarter hour remaining. And every goal so important for Puerto Rico as they try and keep some distance from Mexico. Esther Ward on her goal line and just narrowly misses it, tucked it in the corner by Laura Suarez. That's 8 for Puerto Rico, and you can see they want more and more and more. They go into the goal to retrieve the ball and run it back to midfield. This is the difficult portion of a tournament like this. You feel for Anguilla in competitive action for the first time since 2018. Under some circumstances in a game like this, the leading team, maybe you ease up on the throttle a little bit. But when the rules are as such, that goal difference can play such a big role. For Puerto Rico, you need as many as you can get, and there is no sign of stopping. Laura Suarez scoring the penalty was her last action of the game. Now entering Adriana Font. Look at the high pressure for Puerto Rico, trying for more. That one from a long ways away. Ward makes the stop and keeps it out. And bounces to it before Socaras can get there. Another long distance try from Nicolette Dries, who already scored one from around that spot earlier in the first half. Take another look at this one. That was earmarked for the top corner. Terrific stop made by Ward. Down by Mendez into the corner. Daphne Mendez turns around and lays it off for Jasmine Mendez. Good touch by Tirado. Sets herself up in some space. Ball still loose as Anguilla struggles to clear it. But now finally gets it out toward midfield, preparing another substitution.
Big ball like that, them missing this fucking ball too clean for it.
Socaras on the give from Daphne Mendez. A little bit too much on that touch to the end line and out for a goal kick. Sub on the way for Anguilla.
Substitution for Anguilla, exiting the game, number 7, entering the game, number 12.
Daphne Mendez again in the 80th minute. Beginning a new attack for Puerto Rico. Here's Socaras. Already with 4 goals on the evening, Socaras gives that one away. Puerto Rico still trying for more. As it stands, their goal difference would be plus 12. Mexico's would sit at plus 9. Mexico next in action tomorrow against Antigua and Barbuda. Puerto Rico managed to beat 4-0 the other night. Trieste. Will Mendez get there? A little bit too much on it. 29 shots to none in favor of Puerto Rico. And 8-0 on the scoreboard. The high mark of the tournament was set by Cuba, and it's going to be a tough one to beat as teams go forth. They beat the British Virgin Islands 14-0 in their match tonight. Guatemala right now leads Curacao 4-0. Nearing the hour mark, Aruba and El Salvador still 0-0. That could be a very tight group battle in Group D. Aruba comes up with the win against El Salvador. 3 teams would end the night tied on 3 points each. Group A is going to be a 2-team race between Mexico and Puerto Rico. It's going to come down to the final day when those 2 teams play each other. The only question that remains, will Puerto Rico have to win that match to go through? Or will they somehow manage to be ahead of Mexico on goal difference to put themselves in a position to only need a draw in that game to go through to July's final 8? The only other thing going against Puerto Rico right now is when we get to the April window of this tournament, they play on April 8th against Suriname. Mexico plays on April 9th against this Anguilla team on this field. If that were the other way around, you would like Puerto Rico's chances to perhaps have that goal difference lead. They take on Suriname, as I mentioned in that game. We saw Suriname fall 9-0 to Mexico. For Puerto Rico, it would have been nice to know how many goals you need, have a target number going into that final match before you play Mexico. But instead it will be the other way around, where Mexico will have that target number against this Anguilla side. Puerto Rico still on the attack, so Caras tries to keep that one in and tuck it in. But it just drifts out, and that was the 30th shot of the night for Puerto Rico. Kelly Johnson started the scoring what seems like ages ago now, back in the 7th minute. So Caras found the net 4 times in the 37th, 57th, 64th, and 71st minutes. There was an own goal against Yanisha Cardi of Anguilla back in the 39th minute, and she also conceded the penalty that was put away by Laura Suarez in the 75th, and the 8th of those goals scored by Nicolette Dries in the 42nd minute. From the top of the box, the shot blocked. Another chance for Tirado. Shouts from the crowd to try and will Anguilla towards something here in the closing moments. Some sustained possession for the first time this evening. The urgency from Puerto Rico maybe dying down a little bit in the last few moments. Not going to stop them, though, from continuing to search for more. You saw after they scored that 8th goal, they went into the goal to pull back the ball to midfield. It seemed like they wanted to try to get to 9 or 10 and help out that goal difference situation. They slowed things down just a bit. Can they find anything else late in this one? So Caras lays it off, battling through Dries, and cleared. To Mendez. Daphne Mendez looking for an option, goes back to Jasmine Mendez. There's Jasmine Mendez and Daphne Mendez going back and forth. Elena Pardo. Dangerous dipping ball in, but gathered by Esther Ward. Nice move by Mendez. Anthony Mendez to the top of the box. Dries tries to feed it along. Cristina Torres. Cuts back by a defender. Cristina Torres lays it off. Here's Dries. And Cardi able to manage. The foul was called against Puerto Rico. Here's a look at that foul. That was called. Karina Socaras, the big scorer of the night for Puerto Rico, with 50% of her team's output. 4 goals tonight. That gives her 5 in 2 matches in this tournament. And that gives her 25 goals and 25 appearances for Puerto Rico. Clock reads 90. There was no stoppage time in the first half. We'll see what we have in store, if any, in the second half. If there's any time at all for Puerto Rico to tack on, or if they will end the night with 6 points atop the group and a positive 12 goal difference.
No.
2 minutes of added time officially here at the end of this one. Socaras, great ball forward into the box. Chance here brewing, tucked back in front, and there is number 9 on the evening for Puerto Rico. It's the second for Nicolette Dries. If that's where this one ends, Puerto Rico matches Mexico's 9-0 victory from the other night. Mexico will take on Antigua and Barbuda tomorrow. And it was in the first game against Antigua and Barbuda that Puerto Rico won 4-0. So the performance of Mexico and Puerto Rico against Antigua and Barbuda will dictate who ends the February window of this tournament in first place. As it stands, Puerto Rico 6 points and a goal difference of +13. Mexico 3 points and +9. They play tomorrow. Can Puerto Rico find one more now, pressing at the end? Might end up doing it. 15 seconds remaining of the 2 minutes that were given. There's the final whistle. Puerto Rico 9, Anguilla nothing. A big victory for Puerto Rico as they look to keep pace with Mexico in Group A. They end the day with 6 points atop the group. And they lead in the goal differential department of 4 on Mexico. Socaras, the star of the night for Puerto Rico, with 4 goals in this victory. The path is perhaps clearer now, maybe, for Puerto Rico as they look to go into that final match day against Mexico with a chance to turn some heads and surprise some people and make it to the Final 8 in July. In all likelihood, they'll have to beat Mexico. If they keep turning out performances like this, and Mexico at any point stumbles in terms of their goal-scoring output, Puerto Rico could find themselves in a position where they need just a draw on the final match day. Admirable effort from Anguilla, a nation that has not had a competitive match since the World Cup qualifying cycle of 2018. It's been nearly 4 years. October of 2018, the last time they played competitively. And in that qualifying window, a similar defeat, 10-0 to Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico continues to excel against Anguilla. Let's take a look at the full-time highlights in this one. A big night for Karina Socaras as she dances off the field there in the middle of your screen. 4 goals of the 9. It all started back in the 7th minute on the header from Kelly Johnson. That got things going. Very tough one as well, clattering into the goalkeeper. They went through a bit of a dry spell, Puerto Rico, but in the 37th minute, Socaras gets her first of the game to make it 2-0. And after 30 minutes without a goal, they would get 2 in a span of 2 minutes on this own goal, and then find a third in the span of 5 minutes as Nicolette Dries lined one up from outside the box. This made it 4-0 Puerto Rico as they entered the halftime break. Mr. Ward got her fingertips on this one ever so slightly, but not enough to keep it out of the net. And a quick start to the second half for Puerto Rico. They had opportunities early, peppering the goal. Esther Ward made a couple of big saves, and then finally in the 57th minute, Socaras would be able to break through. Christina Torres close there off the post, and then Socaras would take over. She would score then in the 57th minute, coming up right here, followed by the 64th and the 71st. This one just right place, right time as the ball fell to her. And you can see here where the urgency lies for Puerto Rico. That goal made it 5-0, and they are picking the ball up out of the back of the net, trying to surge for more. Here's another one in the 64th for Socaras. Mendez turns the corner. And here, 7-0 in the 71st. The 4th and final goal tonight for Socaras. Puerto Rico, on the other hand, would not be done just quite yet. They would draw a penalty here, and the captain, Laura Suarez, would put it away in the 75th minute. That made it 8-0. After that, again, Puerto Rico picks the ball up out of the net, runs it back to midfield, but they slowed things down just a little bit at that point. It would take 15 more minutes to score another, and that's how the night would finish. 9-0 Puerto Rico. A look at the final stats in this one. Show you what built that 9-0 victory. 31 shots to none, 12 on goal to none, and dominance in the possession category as well. All the recipe for a massive victory for Puerto Rico, now sitting atop Group A with 6 points through 2 matches and a goal difference of +13. They await Mexico's result tomorrow to see who enters the April window in first place in Group A. That'll do it for us here. Puerto Rico 9, Anguilla 0. Thanks for tuning in. Joe Malfa saying good night from Anguilla.